All right, what's up? This is Group 315 with our last podcast of the semester. This is Russ.
Savanna.
Beth
and Jackson.
And we're going to let Jackson take it away.
All right, perfect. So our discussion, our podcast is based off of the Middle Ditch and Schwartz, right? Improv, episode. So I just really want to talk about, one of the main things in the third video was a friendship conflict, which is these conflicts arise in the context of friendships, often due to differences in opinions, betrayal, trust, or feeling neglected. And so I just want to talk about, they were both going for the dream job and both trying to be photographers for Sunday Night Live, SNL. And I just wanted, to ask you guys, have you guys ever experienced, friendship conflict with y'all friends, or, and how'd y'all deal with that? Anybody?
Just anything?
Anything, a conflict, about maybe some homework, or, a job, or, I don't really know, something. I feel like we've all had conflict with our friends.
Right. Not necessarily in the sense of us applying for the same job or anything, but I feel like in different ways, shapes, or forms, over the years, we've probably all had some sort of friendship conflict, whether that be a disagreement or, say, you get in an argument or something like that. I feel like it could definitely vary. If anybody has a story of any sort.
I know, yeah. I mean, I DJ, and my buddy wanted to DJ, so I was like, all right, come do some gigs with me. He'll invest in his own equipment, but he can use mine for the time being. I'll kind of just show him the ropes and whatnot. And he, didn't invest in anything. He didn't show up to learn anything, but then he got mad when I wouldn't help him get gigs. But or let him DJ with me. I'm not going to let you do that if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You didn't put in the time. Anyway, so that kind of caused, we're fine now, but that caused a little bit of conflict for a minute. I was like, he was mad that I was not being a friend and helping him out. But I mean, I'm not going to let you do something that people are going to laugh at you, especially if you're DJing with me. That's going to make me look bad.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I think that kind of shows the workplace conflict too. You're different in a personal interaction than you are in a workplace setting. That was your work. You were getting paid to DJ, and he was kind of messing with that by not putting in the work as well.
Yeah.
I had a job with one of my best friends in high school. We were baristas in a coffee shop, but we were best friends. But sometimes in a work environment, it's okay, well, we got to get to work. We got to, talk to the customers, do what we need to do. It's not necessarily about what's the most convenient for us, if that makes sense. Sometimes you got to get in there and do your job because it is your job.
Yeah. Well, that episode we saw, friendship conflict, and like Savanna said, it also ties into workplace conflict. But did you guys see any other conflict in either episode, either 1 or 3, or nonverbal, or any nonverbals?
Yeah, I noticed one we were talking about a minute ago was ego conflict in the last one when they were it was when they were in the bathroom, right? With I'm from New York. Wasn't that when they were using the bathroom?
Yes.
Yeah.
The guy was he said he was pretending to have a New York accent or whatever, and the other guy was I'm from New York and we don't talk like that. And I feel that just kind of caused a little tension as far as the acting goes, and also low key behind the scenes too. He was hey man, kind of messed that one up, but we'll keep it rolling.
He definitely felt, he was angry, personally, on a personal level, it definitely, made him mad and upset.
So, going to power conflict, I know it can arise over issues of wanting to be in control or dominance in a relationship. So, have y'all ever experienced anything personally such as power conflict?
Probably my teammates, in the game, or in practice, being too selfish or too ball dominant, if that makes sense, because you're really supposed to share the ball. That's how you win games. People being more ball dominant and making us not lose the game, making it hard for us, to end up winning it. Just that's the only really issue I've had of power conflict and someone trying to control it.
a lifeguard over the summer. There was this guy that worked with us, and everybody hated him because he tried to boss people around. He was just getting paid the same as the rest of us and wasn't like a higher position. And then this other guy got promoted to like the assistant like lifeguard manager or whatever, and it was only a 50-cent pay raise. But anyway, the other guy it was stupid, and that's off topic, and we already got paid cheap. But anyway, the other guy got real mad about it and started trying to like take over and like boss people around, and he eventually got fired for some other stuff, but everybody couldn't stand him. Anyway, I found out at his other job, he was like trying to boss people around there and trying to like become like the assistant manager, and he was like demanding a pay raise and stuff, and people like just can't stand the dude. But I don't know. I guess that would be what would come to mind for me. Yeah.
No,
Do y'all think in relationships, I guess more on the like romantic, like dating side, do you think there's somebody in power like in the relationship, or like the one that's more dominant?
To a certain extent.
It's a lot of relationships like that. It doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of it's to a certain extent. Some relationships 50-50, some are 75-25. You know,
It's supposed to be 100-100.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But you never know what you're gonna get. You know, depends on the day, depends on the person. You never really know what's gonna happen.
I don't think it's necessary that people like talk about it and like make it a thing, but I do think it just tends to happen that one person in a relationship will wear the pants, or like whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think also we saw a lot of internal conflict in the Middle Edition Sports Improv. In the SNL video, the most recent video that we watched, he was talking about I guess the director or whatever his position was in SNL. He was like one of the higher ups, and you could tell that he was like a little bit uncomfortable playing this part because he probably knew this person well, and so they kind of had to pause and like change his name and like said he owned a cat farm or something crazy like that, because he was like internally conflicted by playing this character that just seemed a little bit too real for life.
Mm-hmm.
So I also think, we saw a lot of nonverbals in both episodes 1 and 2. This goes to 1 and 3. Sorry, this is for the first episode. On our sheet, prosthetics is speaking quickly to convey excitement or urgency, and like just really body movement. And so I feel like Short Paul talking about Kathleen when he was talking to I think he was talking to Marnie.
Mm-hmm.
Just telling her about how excited he was and how he missed her. And the line that really messed my head up was when he was like, do you ever just want to get nice and close to somebody and suck the breath out of them? That just shows he was very excited. He missed their connection, I guess, or what they had in middle school. But yeah, so did you guys see any other nonverbals in either episode?
Talking with the Kathleen stuff, whenever the groom was talking to his brother, I think I saw some haptics, like he was patting him on the back as a gesture of like encouragement. He was like, yeah, Kathleen is good for you. I think this is a good thing, basically. And there were some other parts, and I can't remember specific scenes, but there was a lot of times they shook hands in all the episodes about stuff. But like there was a few times I noticed that the handshakes weren't necessarily a sign of confidence. It was almost like we got this, kind of like almost like nervousness. But I can't remember like specific scenes. If y'all can.
In that scene, didn't they talk about, or he was trying to give her an attribute? Isn't that one of the improv rules?
Yeah, the keep it moving. I think that's number 5 on the improv rules. But they were talking. It was the groom, and I think his name was Dave, and then the guy who he moved up to be his best man, who was Corey, and he was talking about his fiance Kathleen. He was like, "Oh yeah, she's so fun." He's like, "Okay, yeah, fun. Give me another attribute about her." He was trying to keep it moving and follow those rules.
Like staying in character, but also like, hey man.
Yeah.
We gotta do something here. We're losing it.
I feel like because it was improv, they're acting, they're running around the stage the whole time. Another nonverbal that's seen the whole time was oculesics. So they're like maintaining eye contact through different scenes and conversations, and sometimes they'll get real close and personal, and he's like looking him in the eye and telling him, whatever he's telling him, or when he was pretending to be his boss in the last episode we watched and giving him the interview. Like, I remember he was like, do you want to be the goat? Like, get on the ground. Like, strong eye contact. So that's happened throughout all the stuff we watched, and that was the word I had.
I think you also see that in the first video of the wedding.
Yeah.
When I think it's Marnie and Short Paul, but they're like having a discussion, and they're engaging in self-disclosure, honestly, like throwing it back there when you talk about self-disclosure. But they were talking about weddings, and Short Paul was giving her all those dark details. But Amber or Marnie, whatever her name ended up being, maintained a lot of eye contact throughout that to show that she was like interested in what Short Paul had to say, and she was like invested emotionally.
That's something interesting. Is like one of the improv rules is to avoid dark details, but I don't know if it's Middleditch or Schwartz or what. The weirder guy very much embraced dark details, but like it worked for their stuff.
It made it more funny, I think.
Yeah. But I don't know, it'd be interesting to see like an improv that did actually follow the rule and avoid dark details. I don't know, because I can understand like if you embrace the dark details, it makes it weird, and it did. You can kind of tell something was like there was like an awkwardness on the stage. But I wonder if you like avoid the dark details, then you kind of keep it more professional, I guess, and there's not less like weird moments. Because like I don't know, some of the stuff you did, like the gazelle thing, like what even?
I wasn't really a huge fan of that part.
It was strange.
I don't know.
It's like, why was he adamant on doing that in front of this huge audience? And it's filmed, like it's going to be on Netflix. So.
Yeah, I feel like that would cause a lot of pressure. I was thinking about that as we watched the videos. Like, that's a ton of pressure having to act on the spot and it being filmed and like put on Netflix.
Right.
Because if we mess up, say on this podcast in a room by ourselves, we could always talk about it, redo it, whatever. Even though we don't do that. But still, that's a lot of pressure being recorded and having to make up stuff on the spot.
That's why the last rule, stay in the moment.
Yeah.
It's always can't lose sight of what you're doing. And you notice they did it a few times. And then one of them had to like think of something off the dome to like bring it back. And I guess maybe that was when the dude started saying dark stuff because he couldn't think of anything except something really awkward. And so he did that stuff just to make it weird, but it gave him something to work with, even if it wasn't completely on track with the rest of the improv.
Yeah. I feel like effect displays can go with, honestly, any of the nonverbals on the list, just because it's showing your emotions, and the whole time, the whole entire improv, you're having to show emotions. That's part of what improv is. So whether they were smiling, just like losing it up on stage, or, widening the eyes or frowning, whatever, there was a lot of that I noticed throughout the whole thing.
So you could apply that to the adapters nonverbal. Like any like awkward stuff they did. I even noticed it says tapping feet or fingers when like eager. And I remember there was a few times they were doing that. I just cannot remember specific scenes.
There was one time when they like made a beat and then they ended up like clapping at the end, like to like say that the beat was done. They did it like at the same time.
I feel like I know we've moved on from the awkwardness of the gazelle scene, but he was pretty anxious on the floor, I think, whenever they were trying to figure out what was going on with that. And what was y'all's favorite part of the improv? Or not even necessarily that, but this whole semester I feel like we've had a great group. We all work together and communicate really well. My favorite movie we've probably watched and podcast we did was Harry and Sally. Analyzation on that, but do y'all have a favorite?
I don't know. I liked Harry and Sally. I like the Harold Click movie, or Crick, or whatever.
I did too.
Well, it was interesting.
It was okay.
It was just very different.
Wasn't my favorite, but
yeah.
There was what else did we watch?
I was looking forward to the one we were gonna start at the end, but then we never got to it.
I think either Harry Met Sally or the one with the guy.
Mel Gibson.
Daughter.
What Women Want. Yeah, that one was
a good one too.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's pretty much all we have.
Yeah. All right.
But it's been a great semester, and I've enjoyed doing this with you all.
Yeah, same. All right. Peace out. It's Russ.
Savanna.
Beth Ann and Jackson just had to ran to class, so.